Hello everybody. We're gonna get in here into game one pretty soon with the Basha Bears versus the Higley Knights on the varsity League of Legends team.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Are we locking in Seraphine bot pick?
Alright, we're gonna be getting into the draft here. And the Higley Knights will be having the first ban in this in game one of the series.
So who do you think is gonna get banned first?
I'm on to you.
I'm thinking based on the Basha ESports favorite picks, maybe the Yone or the Nami.
Alright, and we come out with the Higley Knights. They come out with the Twitch Shaco band, scared of seems like they are scared of more stealth gank focus plays, and they do pick up the Yone. Good call, given that two of their players are fairly frequent Yoners.
Looks like the Basha team, the Basha Bears, banned two ADCs and
Two ADCs scared of getting hard leads on carries on the bot side. So maybe they'll try and play safer by getting rid of those long-range poke things that can outscale you. And there is the Lucian. They are by the Higley Knights, maybe threatening Lucian Nami. So it would be smart to pick a Nami early here. Get that taken away so they can't draft it.
Lucian Nami is a very strong lane right now. It looks like Bears are gonna pick Aurelion Sol.
Aurelion Sol, is that?
It is.
It is now allowed. Okay, the Aurelion Sol, and there is the Nami pick, denying that Nami Lucian combo. It is a super good synergy with the Nami E that combines with all the Lucian's abilities, allowing him to easily combo people and burst people down super fast.
Exactly, very prominent in pro play.
Aurelion Sol's a bit overtuned right now. He's a bit of a strong character. You know, he's adaptable in many situations. So we'll see. Maybe he's an easy roam character too. So you can look to make plays around the map.
The Knights
Also
pick
a
up
hard
Thresh.
The Knights pick up Thresh. Okay, it looks like it's a more of an aggressive bot lane, and the Tristana.
Tristana, that means
The
they're gonna-
Tristana pick, that means either it's a Lucian or Tristana mid. They're playing a very dive-heavy, aggressive team, but they are super vulnerable to AP burst right now.
Very
And
interesting flex pick here. We'll have to see which lane they're playing.
Looks like the Bears are hovering a Twisted Fate.
Twisted Fate,
Or a
Malphite.
Malphite?
Malphite is an excellent pick here.
The Malphite are knockup into the Aurelion Soul Sky's Descent knockup. Both of those ults would have incredible synergy, giving the Bears an incredible team fight.
The team fight on the Bears right now is super strong. Plus, Malphite can either go tank or AP here. They are both threats to their team. I do kind of like, well, given their current draft, I like the tank better, a tank Malphite better. You still have that like powerful CC, and you are a strong frontline, giving you bonus armor with your passive. So you're very good into melee matchups or into matchups against AD, and they are very heavy physical damage for the mats right now.
That's
It
true.
looks like the Bears have banned Jax, which is a pretty good ban because Malphite can do that, and they choose to ban Diana, which is a very good team
That is a
fighting
strong jungle pick for the Knights. Could give a more team fight threat. It'd be a threatening pick in a team fight. So.
Exactly. Looks like the Bears are trying to completely limit the Nightmare's options to.
And the Knights do ban Jarvan. Not a common, more common now, but Jarvan is super strong in the meta. He is his team fight is incredible. He has constant CC with a knockup that can happen around every 6 seconds, which is really good.
It looks like the Nightmares also banned Rammus. They definitely don't want Malphite and Rammus on their team because they're physical damage.
The Rammus jungle is a huge threat towards both of their ADCs, so that's a smart ban there.
Okay, looks like the Bears are picking.
And they're picking the Ezreal for the safe lane. They have to play safe in this bot lane because a Thresh, Lucian, if they manage to get on top of that Nami, this lane could go bad very easily.
Exactly.
However,
Ezreal is also able to farm very well. And if the Nightmares don't pick a tank, then Ezreal is even stronger because he doesn't have as much crit potential.
all right, the Knights going for their lack of CC, threatening to pick up the Amumu pick.
Ooh, I'm scared of the team fight Amumu. If I'm the Bears, I'm scared of Amumu's ultimate.
Yeah, the Amumu getting on the backline would be really bad for the Ezreal, especially because he's able to get away from the Thresh. He can both E out of the box and E one hooked. However, Amumu is a different case because those are stuns, and Ezreal will not be able to E.
Oh, looks like the Nightmares are trying to counterpick top lane, trying to counterpick that Malphite. That's why they're picking Mordekaiser, who does a ton of magic damage, which would completely mitigate Malphite's advantage, and also has a ton of max health magic damage.
Yeah, the Mordekaiser threatens to take Malphite out of the fight, which is their main tank, and is what's going to keep them from getting bursted down by the Tristana Lucian. Mordekaiser taking that Malphite out of the fight would be tragic for the team fight of the Basha Bears.
Yeah.
So the Bears are now down to their last pick, which is their jungle. And we'll see how the Bears will choose to round out their team.
A Viego, I see.
A Viego pick. Viego's a great scaler, and you can always do the Viego moment where you take over the enemy carry. So getting picks with the Viego on your team is a super strong strategy to go for. However, Viego relies on getting early farm and getting ahead early, because if he gets behind, then his usefulness in teamfights is really reduced. He's not super impactful unless he's able to stack gold.
Yeah. I think this Viego pick is definitely going on D help, which means that the Bears are actually flexing D help, who is usually the mid laner, I believe, into the jungle role.
And we're still yet to see where exactly the Lucian or Tristan will be placed, and it'll be interesting to see.
I believe
who
they did the
choose.
matchups so that they are in pick order or in lane order. So it looks like the Lucian will be in the mid lane this game, which I think is better than going Lucian Thresh, because the Tristana Thresh is much better in the early game, and that's what they want to try and get in the bot lane. Especially if Amumu goes down there, you can really get the easy picks on the Nami. It's much harder to get the Ezreal, but getting those early picks and getting your Tristana stacked ahead, early farm Tristanas are easily able to snowball through the rest of the game. So it's something you're looking for.
Yeah, see, if I'm the Bears here, and I'm the bot laners, either this Nami or this Ezreal, I would definitely pick Exhaust, because Tristana's bomb combo, where she jumps on you, places a bomb, and then just starts shooting you. It's very susceptible to being mitigated by the Summerfell exhaust, which just reduces the damage dealt by about is it 20 or 40%?
It's one of those. I can't remember exactly. We can check if they get into the game if they take it. However, I think for the Bears, they really got to look for that top side because if you can get the Malphite ahead, then Mordekaiser won't be able to burst him down as fast as the Death Realm, and it can be more impactful in the team fights once he comes out, trying to help mitigate that Tristana Lucian damage that they're going to really have to look out for.
I agree. I think the biggest problem the Bears face right now is if the Mordekaiser does take the Malphite to the Death Realm, they will not have someone who can tank and frontline for their team. So at the moment, I feel like the Bears will have to learn how to deal with this more when it comes to taking their main tank out of the game.
They have vision. They have to have vision.
Alrighty. So I just want
It's not bad. It's Malphite top.
I just want your guys' opinion on in a team like this where they have a Mumu ultimate, a Mumu Q, Thresh E, Thresh R. What are your guys' opinions on taking cleanse on either the Ezreal or probably just the Ezreal this game? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Ezreal basically has a cleanse with his E. If you time it correctly, you can dodge CC from most abilities. The Amumu's a real problem because he can combo CC with QR, and Ezreal's E is not enough range to get out of the Amumu R if he comes with a Q. The Thresh I don't think is a big problem for the Ezreal because you can E his hook and out of his ultimate. So I think the real threat is them getting on top of the Nami because Nami doesn't have any escape abilities. She relies more on CCing them, and they have heavy dive with a Thresh and Amumu. So I think Nami's the real target here, and Ezreal will be a secondary target after they get the Nami.
I see, that makes sense.
I think the one thing to look at is the Acel pick into this team. They have the Mordekaiser, Mumu, and Thresh, which can all stop his flying channel. So it'll be interesting to see how the Acel choose to play around all their CC. And with that, we're about to get to the game in around 30 or so seconds.
I'm dead. We have double. We have to use both flashes now. Well, just let it push. Just let it push.
Alrighty, I believe we are now in the loading screen. Here we go. I see we do have the exhaust on the Ezreal.
They also did take exhaust on to the Lucian with a first strike. Definitely going for that early burst onto the Aurelion Soul when he's in the mid lane. I do believe it will be Aurelion Soul mid. It's not favorable for Aurelion Soul, especially in Mordekaiser.
I think so too. That being said, this is Grass, Malphite. Malphite's one of those characters where, they don't really have very good synergy with a lot of keystone runes. Grass is really good in those extended fights. Normally we'll take Comet for the poke.
Looks like there's an early gank here by the Knights going down into the bot mid bush.
30 seconds until minions
Looking
spawn.
to lead with a hook on the Thresh, trying to get a pick in the jungle. And Acel might just walk right into this. No, but he gets the ward down playing safe. They are aware, so I don't think anybody will get picked off here by the invade. And the Knights will back off.
I see, so it looks like in response, the Bears are in fact going for an invade on the Nightmares
Minions
blue
have
buff.
spawned.
Yeah, and if Mordekaiser comes to check this by himself, he's at risk of dying. He could force a flash out on him, which would be really advantageous for the Malphite, especially in this tough matchup against the Mordekaiser.
This is true. Especially because the Amumu and Tristana and Thresh will not be able to roam up in time, and Lucian will have to lose the first wave in order to get there and respond to that.
With the Malphite and the Viego invading the we'll have to see.
So we do see the exhaust from the Ezreal. What do you think about the heal on Nami, though, over Ignite?
I think for a lane where you want to play safe and let the Ezreal scale, I think the heal is good for escape because it also gives you move speed and health. The Ignite is more if you want to be an aggressive lane, which I'm not sure if the Ezreal Nami really wants.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, especially when Viego's invading enemy topside. that likely means that he'll probably be going for his own top set after this, meaning he'll be more prone to gank the mid and top lane, so he'll be more isolated in the bot lane. He doesn't have to rely on his own devices. They have a level up. They typically level up, and that's both flashes used down on the bot side. A heal and 2 flashes by the Bears in trade for 1 flash by the Thresh, but he does have Hex Flash, so he's looking to engage with those flashes, and he got to get a lot of value out of that trade.
It has some very dangerous
It looks like they tried to do something mid.
Fight top lane, the Mordekaiser is a level up, and
the Mordekaiser to get out of the
vision. The Malphite was fighting in that huge wave. There was a huge wave of damage for the Mordekaiser. Fighting in there, just stacked damage with the minions. You had to finish that fast.
Especially with the Mordekaiser. Really close fight. Maybe if the Malphite had vision, he could have landed that last Q, but unfortunately he couldn't get it off. And the Knights take the first blood.
Losing that fight was really bad for the Malphite because he just missed a huge wave in the top side. And missing that wave was such a huge deficit of XP and gold for the Malphite. Mordekaiser is a big loser. As you can see, the gold that is on is
2,000. However, it is definitely not game ending. Oh, it looks like Viego and a Mumu might be going right in.
I think I'm gonna take the Viego, and they do get the kill.
Yeah, the bot lane runs up with the Mumu looking to get the Viego, knowing that they inverted the top side of the Viego in his bot side jungle. That 1k gold lead almost extended down to 2k. And a hook on the Glacial. Oh, and he connects the bubble onto the Thresh. That trade was pretty decent given that you got the Ezreal poke out of the Tristana as she was leaving.
And also up the Ignite up from the Thresh. Like the Thresh was down to Ignite. But there's Hex Flash. Looks like it's missing.
It looks like they're going for a dive down into the bot side. Thresh taking the tower for a bit. Now it's on the Amumu. The Amumu took way too much damage to the Ezreal, but Ezreal gets traded out by the Tristana.
That's a trade on the dive.
Lucian goes for a quick pick after he saw the Acel and used his abilities trying to clear the wave. Acel down on mana. Lucian can try and take advantage of this. Yeah, all the drafts from the Knights, they're looking to be super aggressive early, and it's kind of paying off for them right now. The Bears have to play safe in all their lanes except for gank opportunities, because right now they just need to rely on trying to outscale the rest of the team.
Mordekaiser is going to roam in an attempt to kill.
I think there might be a fight in the top area, but it looks like the Viego is backing off. Though.
Yes, however, the Acel does not have enough mana for a fight, and Lucian is an auto tech, so even without mana, he's still more of a threat than the Acel and the engagement here. So if there's a roam up there, then it's more dangerous for the side of the Bears than it is for the side of the Knights.
It does look like the first dragon that up. Knights with their bot control opt to take that dragon now, or they'll look for something else.
Looks like both top and level 6 maybe looking for a fight here. Malphite's just getting shredded by that max damage and the wave. Very good job, Charles. So it looks like the Mordekaiser
Malphite's
does in fact
low.
have
Looks like
Dark
he
Shield.
might have to back up and just give up the CS here.
Malphite cannot fight this. He does have TP, so he can get back to lane fast, but Mordekaiser is chasing him down, not letting him get those minions under tower, denying that XP and gold. And at the current moment, both the bot lane and the top lane have a significant CS lead against their lane opponents. But this was to be expected, especially given the lane matchups. The Bears do really rely on scaling this game, and even more so given the CS advantage.
It does appear though that the jungle and mid lane are easily used right now, so they're definitely not out.
And they're going for another kill.
Eagle might always hit your Sonic Bomb. Oh, still
He
alive.
barely makes it out of there.
Barely able to make it out alive.
But this does give them the opportunity to go for Drake. There is no threat from that table to steal, and that's just going to be a free one. The bot lane looks definitely hasn't been able to take advantage of this, but either letting the wave push in, taking their own wave, or trying to crash as best as they can.
Looks like Scotland will opt to try to keep the wave pushed under their turret so they can CS safely.
I see it. So Mumu is eating the honey fruit, perhaps going for a gank either mid or bot immediately after this.
Yeah, and there's a Thresh with a Hex Flash. Might try and go over the wall there and get a hook on it, and he does not. The Hex Flash has been really useful for the Thresh in this lane and just in general so far. He's been able to use it to get surprise engages, which is the biggest weakness to his Ezreal. The Ezreal can dodge with E if he sees the hook coming.
It looks like almost everyone in the game has their ultimate ability now.
They're just about to get their ult at this point.
Yeah, this is a really tough matchup for the Malphite. Over the really you have to look in with the Bears here, because Aurelion Sol is their damage powerhouse at the moment. So if they're gonna look to get killed on an awesome bubble onto that Tristano as she's trying to jump away. They were not able to capitalize though because they don't have the damage, and the Thresh is there to back it up. Only onto the Malphite in the top lane, but Malphite is under tower, so there is not a real threat.
There's a gank top
And there
lane.
is the response. A knock-up on the Malphite. But the Mumu responds. Huge counter gank there. Gets both of them. 2 kills onto that Mordekaiser. That is really bad.
Especially with that Dark Shield. Yeah, that means the Mordekaiser, every time the Mordekaiser gets killed, they get increasing ability power. And I'm just going to say a Mordekaiser that's really, really ahead, has a ton of AP, is incredibly hard to kill. Looks like the first bottom get
Azure was able to get flash. Oh, and the bottom looks like it's gonna die. It does end up falling.
He did try to use the E to dodge, but the E was still in the range of the hook. Expanding their lead. The lead is now up to 5.8k, which is a significant amount of gold for them.
Looks like they will also get the tower bot lane to control. Goblin Knights start rolling around the map.
those towers get a ton of gold. So almost 6,000, or a little over 6,000 gold.
Right, and you do have 3 completed items on the side of the Knights and no completed items on the Bears. The Rylai's onto the Mordekaiser really limits the escape, the ability for the Bears to be able to escape him. Especially the Malphite really relies on stacking to get his Q and turn him away.
That's true. I think as Malphite, the only thing you can do at this point is just try and stand back and try and get those.
They have the Thresh roaming top side. We'll see if there's.
Diego does not go. They do not go for anything like that. There's no one to back him up. However, that was not a small amount of damage.
And it also looks like Lucian is now heading bot in order to try and farm more easily without the Aurelion Sol.
And you do have the demonic on the Amumu going for the early damage over the tank.
Looks like the Thresh is gonna look for a play. Oh, and they surprised able to capitalize on the close. to escape with a little bit.
Dodging the bubble and continuously getting outline. Ends up doing it.
The Viego though, not able to get the kill, but the Azel ult's coming in. The Thresh ends up flashing it. Azel is getting close to this. This is the Azel
He has 5 kills onto that Tristana.
and
Just like we said in the draft phase, she is snowballing these kills, and this is going to be really tough to play against for the Bears.
looks like the gold lead is almost up to 10k here. We'll see how the Bears choose to respond to this.
So, Charles, how do you think the Bears are going to try and come back from this gold deficit?
I think the only way they can do that is the Knights are splitting their lanes. They are doing a 1-3-1, taking the support and jungler in the mid lane with Tristana. I think they have to try and collapse the mid lane or on the Mordekaiser in the side lane and try and get a pick on one of these high value targets like Tristana and Mordekaiser, the ones with the shutdowns. And that's the only way they can come up with this deficit and then go for objectives after that.
The Nightmares are in fact going for the second dragon. They don't think the Bears are going to be able to contest it. That is the second Drake, and now
See what Drake sold. So Drake soul will end up being Infernal Drake this game.
that would be very bad for the Basha Bears. That's drastically damage. Mordekaiser 2 levels up and multiple guards feel stacked up on the Malphite. Malphite just has to hope to get CS from lane.
Now, it looks like the Knights are roaming top to see if they can go and dive this Malphite, so we'll see what happens here. Oh, the Malphite hits a 3-man ult.
It doesn't seem to matter. The wave is the way that you're not going to get there in time.
And it looks like they're all going to the top tower here.
Look at the vision as these Knights here. They have warded all throughout the bot side jungle. The only active control ward that the Bears have is in that the bot bush, but the bot lane is not nearly as active as any of their other.
It's the ult. I know the Thresh is able to get
And the hook into the ulti, they do take the Aurelion Soul. Good use of the hook there. This Thresh has been really impactful with his utility. And landing really good proportion of his hits. And a hook again onto the Ezreal, that is picked out.
Saw me alone. Scared.
Take a tower and close the door. For the Mordekaiser. A kill on the Mordekaiser. That is 800 gold. Check out. They're getting stack kills now. Now that the Mordekaiser down there, the Mordekaiser does get to the Amumu. Tristana does get the tower, and Amumu does kill. Tristana. Ooh, the ulti. Another gold. 1,000.
That's over 2,000 gold on the Viego now worth of shutdowns. That is a very, very huge turn for the Bears.
The gold deficit still looks to be about 1,000 gold in favor of the Knights. However,
it looks to be about 10,000.
10,000.
Oh, what did I say?
1,000.
1,000. Yeah, it's a little different.
A 10,000 gold lead for the Knights, which is it was a bit greater before that last fight, but the Viego there really is now their chance to come back and get these picks in these fights.
Yeah, it's like what the Diego just built with his 2,000 gold. Looks like Diego is now actually building Borg after finishing the Looks like they're definitely trying to kill this Mordekaiser and move as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, I think that was a smart build, trying to build these tank buster items to deal with the Mordekaiser, Mumu, and Thresh. And it is not a lack in it does do quite a bit of damage to squishies too, so it's a nice bit of damage. he's the real threat to like picking on top of that Tristana when he engages. Then he can just... There is the Ace Nami there trying to come up here. He does not do too much damage to Mordecai, so he is hanging on.
Might be able to,
And here's the
Diego's
roam by the
here.
Diego. If they can get this thing down.
Looks like the Sean is just getting reset after reset. Not able to
Malphite
get
is
the
able
kill
to
on
escape,
the...
force the flash out of him. Force the flash out of Nami 2, still chasing. The flash slowing the Nami down. Nami is down.
Diego is very smart and backs off and doesn't try and run in 1v4. I think that's a wise decision.
The Mordekaiser is not as high of a value target for us. No longer has that shutdown. You really gotta look down towards the Tristana Lucian. Maybe bump down for a Lucian to the boss. Hit it down before he dies. This is really bad for the
Another skill.
Really not looking too great for the Bears right now.
So it looks like Nightmares do get them here in him. Responds to Superman down mid lane. Really a lot of things. Take Baron or more Dragon.
Red team's
Next Dragon target is coming up about now. So the Knights are probably looking to take that about now and get their third break. I think the Knights get sold. It's not going to end well for the
It's
Bears.
a rough game. It looks... The Thresh this game has been so good for the Knights. Landing almost every kick on the throw. It's done so much impact. Picking off members of players, ripping their front line apart. However, if you do look at the rest of the team, like the mid laner with 20 and lane 2, so not even counting the cohorts that have really controlled the Bears side jungle, roams on the Thresh and picks in the game, and even later game, there's roaming top lane tower.
And we look at the Bears just trying any way they can, trying to take those super moves to get more experience and gold from it. Mordecai, it does look like they are going to push to the bottom.
And this look, the Baron is up, so if the Knights are able to get this Baron, the Bears will definitely have a very difficult time trying to defend. Those places the Knights are just opting to push a bunch of waves out and see if they can maybe just take an inhib or a tower or two.
With they are walking around the Baron for about now. Mordekaiser is still just solo pushing
And it looks like the Knights have an option. See how the Bears are able to defend their pushing with their hero. See how they're able to deal with this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they threw out a Thresh there. Mordekaiser trying to stop that peel and engage. Carry apart. This Thresh has been able to land all these hooks under tower and taking the turret. He's able to take a dive and get all the damage off extremely fast.
very, yeah, the Thresh hooks have been incredibly on point this game. So Mordekaiser just has to jack those back up and it'll be incredibly hard to kill from now on. And top lane is also going to be absolutely
And not to mention Lucian in the mid lane, pushing out the super straight.
And with the top end now dead and more pushing, looks like
bottom, he cannot do anything fight with the towers.
Looks like that will be game to that last team one. end of game one. Let's see
Really well
how.
played by that was incredibly well played.
A summoner has disconnected.
That last fight, that thread click into the Mular was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I think the Bears there had to try and play a little bit safer than they did in those previous games. It was or in that previous or than they should have. They should have played a much more safer. I think playing back and sitting under maybe towers and behind minions would have been much more impactful because the Thresh would have limited ability to engage. Even with the Hex Slash, you'd have to Hex Slash further into your team and then look to make it plays off the engage on the Thresh. You can try and roam down on the Viego or the Aurelion.
Yeah, I agree. In a team comp like the Bears picked, it's really a scaling team fight comp. But the problem is just that, they were just down in so many lanes. They really couldn't even fight in the late game. And even though they were theoretically better at team fighting, they were just so down in stats that they just couldn't compete.
Thanks, Lilia.
Just something from me?
All right.
Alright, we are going to hop into game 2 here. It is 0-1 for the Bears. The Knights leading this series. And we have the Lilia ban, again, by the Bears coming first. Scared of that Lilia roams. And a Twitch ban by the Knights again. Twitch is kind of an elo inflated champion, really able to capitalize in almost all elos on, you know, going invis and getting surprise plays and surprise roams onto enemy laners. And the Zaya ban and the Yone ban. Again, there's we're two Yone players onto the Basha Bears, so the Yone ban is smart. And there's that Thresh ban that we were expecting. The Thresh was a huge threat that last game. Those hooks and all of his engages really tore apart and ruined any fight potential for the Bears.
Well, see, what I'm worried about is that if he can play Thresh, I think he can play any hook champ in the game. I think Thresh is one of the hardest hook champs in the game, probably the hardest hook champ. So just having Thresh banned, I think they can just play either Blitzcrank or even Leona, like maybe Nautilus, and I think they'll see similar results.
Yeah, I do like a Leona or Nautilus here. The Blitzcrank is a bit iffy because Blitzcrank is more of a damage-focused hook character. This more support-focused like Thresh with his Lantern and his R controlling area, and then the Nautilus with his W able to tank more than other champions are. Even Leona with her W is able to tank more. The Blitzcrank though is really good for getting picks, especially because he's the only champion where the hook brings up directly to you instead of like meeting halfway or only pulling us slightly.
But it looks like we do in fact have a Jinx ADC for the Bears.
A Jinx first pick. Jinx is a very scary. She's a very weak early game, and there's the Caitlyn Lux. That is super poke heavy on the bot lane for the Knights. That is scary against the Jinx. The Jinx is gonna have a rough time trying to CS in that lane. She's just gonna get poked out constantly by Luxies.
Yeah, well, it's also possible this is a Lux mid. It's possible that it's gonna be Caitlyn and some other support, so we can't not account for that, right?
That's true. And
So
there's
we
that
have a
Yasuo pick.
pick. This is a very AD heavy team right now. Hoping to see some more AP from the Bears. Thinking it's gonna be Yasuo mid, probably.
Yeah, Yasuo is likely to be mid. He's good in the most maze matchups because he's able to block their abilities and easily dive using the wave. So he's not super scary. However, an Annie is a good pick around Yasuo, able to stun that engage and easily get a burst down with the electrocute if it's taken. I do not think this will be an Annie support. It could be because that is also threatening in the bot lane. But man, that's what I said. Then they do pick out the Mordekaiser, denying that from the Knights who played it last game. But they've just picked three. They still have not picked a support onto the side of the Bears, showing three of their more carry champions early, really allowing bans and counters in the second draft phase.
Looks like Mordekaiser is on the Bears side now. Malphite
banned out.
See, there's a Fiora ban. Fiora into Mordekaiser is one of the most one-sided matchups in the game in favor of Fiora, so that definitely makes sense. Don't want a Fiora running over the game based off of just getting really fed off of the Mordekaiser.
The Morgana ban, that is a good counter to trying to deal with this poke and this burst from AP characters like Lux and Annie. And is also good with the Jinx because you can combine roots again with the Jinx E, so that's a good ban there by the Knights.
Looks like the Nightmares are hovering a Cassante top, or a Riven, or a Sion, or a Shen, or an Olaf, or a Mudo, or a Gwen, or an Alawi, or a Garen, or
Really
one of those.
showing his champions.
Those are all top lanes. Looks like they're picking for their top lane right now. Set.
Olaf.
It's Olaf.
Olaf is strong into the Mordekaiser matchup because you can R his E and Mordekaiser R. You can get out of that with Olaf R. Yeah, you're really good at running Mordekaiser down because he can't really slow you even if he buys Rylai's. So you're really good at dueling into that Mordekaiser. However, early game is a bit rougher because if Mordekaiser can kite easily with when he has his passive up, the damage will stack onto the Olaf. He has to really hit all of his E's in that matchup, or his Q's in that matchup, and then constantly cycle Q's. And the Poppy is an interesting pick here, given how there are really no dashes on the side of.
Caitlyn has a dash.
Caitlyn has the E backwards, but you have to get on top of her for that to be effective.
Well, another thing about Poppy is that she can actually use her ultimate ability to knock away some of the scarier chances.
However, you can't do that to Olaf now because he has
That's
this
true.
R. So if Olaf were to face tank any of those, and there's the Nico pick. However, you do have the knockup with the Poppy R that can combo with the Yasuo, so you can get onto the backline. Yasuo can easily get on the backline with the Poppy R, knocking them up in the Yasuo ultimate.
This is Nico's support, right? Looks like Poppy jungle, Mordekaiser top, Yasuo mid,
Yes.
and Jinx, Nico bot lane from the Bears.
And then there is the Ivern jungle. The Ivern is super vulnerable to invades, and Poppy is not a weak character. Despite what people may think, Poppy is actually does have a high damage output, especially in this early game. So invades might be possible here onto the Ivern. You have to really play proactively on the laners of the Knights to make sure you don't get invaded by the Poppy. However, the Ivern in the late game, if he is able to sustain himself in the early game, he doesn't do a significant amount of damage, but there is damage threat, and can easily cycle his E's, or peeling and mitigating a lot of that damage onto his carries.
Going back to invading, the Iron definitely does have potential to invade one of the Poppy's buffs early game, especially with his pass allows him to instantly smite. So the Bears will have to look out for that. Watch out for possibly a early invade or a smite steal.
Yeah, I think the Yasuo here is going to have to really look out for that Ivern, because the Ivern CC is no joke, especially against the Yasuo. Yasuo has to look out to be both knocked up by Daisy, and those roots that come out from Ivern are both threatening and really game-changing for fights if he can stop that Yasuo from being able to move, which Yasuo is a really mobile champion and relies on moving around in order to get things done.
Yeah, that makes sense. So who do you think is going to win team fights this time around, guys?
All right, I think that the Bears need to look to get that Mordekaiser ulti onto either the Annie or the Ivern, try to get them out of the fight, because the Olaf is really not a target. Because if he saves his R, you cannot ult that Olaf. And then there's the Nico is going to be a big problem to deal with in that fight, because it kind of denies your engage. You have to burst her down with the Annie ulti or something, otherwise she will get that ulti off onto your team. I do like the draft more from the Bears here than I did last game. However, the Knights do have a very strong poke and burst draft. And they do have Olaf and Caitlyn for extended fights, so I think it's a much more even draft than we've seen so far.
One thing I would like to point out is that it looks like the Bears do once again have a more scaling heavy comp with that Jinx, Nico, and the Yasuo, whereas the Knights still seem to have a really strong early game where Ivern can invade, and then Olaf is pretty strong at level 1 and level 2 with his passive, where he gains attack speed based off of missing health. Annie can at least suppress Yasuo's ability to try and kill her in laning phase, and then Caitlyn has a ton of auto range, and Lux has pretty decent burst potential on Jinx, who also doesn't really have much mobility. So I'd be worried about the same kind of thing as last game, where the Knights are able to get an early lead and then snowball it into the late game, while the Bears normally would
I do
scale.
believe that the Bears do have a really ceiling up, but this time around, with the Caitlyn, the Olaf, Annie, and Lux, and Ivern, they all are actually decent scaling characters. Especially that Caitlyn damage and that Annie and Lux burst, being able to instantly pick out squishy characters, especially if they combo. And then, as I said again, Ivern's mitigation and ability to engage on champions is really strong later in the game, especially because he can get perma Daisy with that level 2 ulti, and if he has any type of ability haste, he can get perma Daisy out, which is strong and threatening.
Alrighty, so do you think it's the same player that played the Thresh playing the Lux this game?
Yeah, it does look like the Thresh player who did hit a lot of skill shots last game is hitting the Lux. So it'll be interesting to see if you'll have as much success laying that CC on Lux as you did on the Thresh. And especially when it comes to the bot lane, it'll be interesting to see with these matchups, both Nico and Lux do have the root. So it might be a matchup more of the supports and seeing how they'll be able to play around their ADCs and make plays.
Yeah, I do believe Caitlyn does have more damage follow-up with her with their passive, being able to hit these CC abilities with their W and her E onto a rooted target, and then being able to follow up with a headshot.
Caitlyn also has more auto range, which means that she'll likely be able to poke down the Jinx early game. So that's another thing to look out for the Bears. So it looks like Olaf is not heading top mid. Maybe they're looking for another early.
Yeah, looking for another invade. With the Ivern, that can be really successful. He's looking like he's going to go secure his red side. Scared of the invade that they had last time. Remember they went for the blue buff on the Knight's side early on the Bears, and they ended up getting it. So maybe getting vision in order to deny that, and then looking to invade somewhere else.
Looks like there won't be any invades this game as the Olaf's heading top, as the Poppy is going to get Mord back. So looks like in terms of the early game and just early farming by the jungle, looks like all will be normal.
Yeah, not to mention though, you don't need a leash and Ivern, so they have no idea where the jungler will be starting.
Alrighty, so it looks like the Bears are starting red. So it looks like it is Yeo Jinx, who was on the Aurelion Soul last game playing Poppy jungle.
Yeah, you do have a switch around. The mid laner and jungler swapped on the side of the Bears. You do have the D-Help playing in the mid lane now on the Yasuo. And yeah, those are those early Q stacks. Throwing those axes out and connecting with them is really strong in those early fights. That's what you need to rely on in an early Ola.
Looks like they might have lost a early level 1 fight, which they did not get killed, but they did have to use one of their summoner spells. Looks like they will have to play safe in this lane from now on.
Yeah, Jinx doesn't pose much of a threat in the early game, so these early engages are going to be really advantageous towards the side of the Knights.
Looks like Lux is just pressuring the Bears completely off of the bot wave. Olaf does hit level 2 first, tries to go for a level 2 fight.
And he is still stacking those Qs, throwing those axes constantly, connecting with the Mordekaiser, getting that damage poke out. Yep, and there's the root combos.
The Bears Jinx the Drax Molisher takes a ton of damage, forced to back out of fear of getting hit by a stray Luxie. Down 8 CS, that's like a full wave.
And he's not to mention he's gonna miss this whole cannon wave too. That's really not looking good on the bot side. And when you really need that Jinx to scale, and it's gonna be a dive
here, and it does end up working out. First blood does go to the Knights, and Lux will get the first kill of the game.
Very well played by the Knights, the Nightmares. Sorry. Like the Olaf and the Ivern maybe securing the top scuttle in the river there. Mordekaiser is pushed under tower.
Looks like the Olaf is in vain. The Poppy will have to leave. Oh, the Poppy does get a stun, but no, looks like the Poppy will have to leave. Luckily, does not seem like the Poppy did full clear the top side, so the Olaf and Ivern cannot capitalize by getting any of the jungle monsters top.
That's true, but it does look like Ivern is heading top along with Olaf to see if they can get a pick on the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, I'm still looking to stack those Qs.
The first break is coming up, and Poppy is bot side, and Ivern is still top side. I don't think that the Bears will be able to take the dragon fast enough. Looks like Yasuo is actually running up towards the Ivern in the river, getting followed by the Annie. Okay, heading right back to the Ivern following shortly behind. So top lane, it looks like Mordekaiser is forced to try and just CS from very far away. Doesn't want to get all in by Olaf.
Yeah, that pressure that Lux is providing in the bot lane, standing in the bush, even though the wave is all the way at the tower of the Knights. They cannot walk up, they're too scared of the Lux burst. And Ivern playing in the mid lane, their only advantageous lane for the Bears right now is this Annie-Yasuo matchup, where the Yasuo is able to evenly trade with the Annie right now. And the Ivern is trying to offset
It
that
does take a lot of damage.
and forced to flash away. That Lux is providing so much pressure onto those.
Top looks like the Mord has also taken a lot of damage, which is.
See, Lux
gonna
does
force
have
the Mord
flash
back.
and ignite. Okay. Oh, Lux does not even need
Lux
the
ends up
flash or the
killing
ignite to land,
the
just land
Jinx.
Pikachu.
Yeah, this
Now Lux
support
is
on the Knights in
hoping
both of
to
these
sneak off
games,
with more
so much
experience.
pressure and damage on these early games.
Poppy going for a
A
gank.
flash over the wall, looking to get on top of that. Lux has not used E yet, I don't believe. That E is really what's gonna get her there, but she has no way to do it. And does not hit the wall, no stun. Miss on the Q into the wall. This is not looking good. That is a
looks like
death onto the
Poppy.
Poppy.
Very close, almost had the Lux. Unfortunately, that means that the Caitlyn is now 101 and the Lux is now 201, which means that the Bears bot lane is down 3 kills, which is very
It's
rough.
also down 30 CS. This is a huge gold lead by the Caitlyn in this early game. The bot lane for the Knights in these past 2 games has just really seemed to come through. And another kill for the Caitlyn. And a flash E by the
Flash
Ivern,
shield.
really mitigating that damage. As we said, he would be really good at doing this game.
Yeah, it looks like Jinx has no more mana because her auto attacks cost her mana when she's using her rocket launcher.
We're also looking to get some damage onto the Annie. Gets a good trade there. And did not use ulti on that engage.
See, Ivern is trying to hover the Annie mid, trying to see if Yasuo goes for any kind of, hard engage dive. However, it looks like the Ivern
Poppy
dive
is also coming and is around the area, so any engage there might have turned around really for the Bears and given them an advantage.
See a pretty large wave crashing into Annie's tower. Yasuo might look for a roam on the Ivern with the Poppy, or maybe just going down to Drake.
Looks like the Bears will be going for the Drake here. You have to be careful of the Lux and Killian as they're coming down right now. So it looks like there may be a team fight before we for over
There is a fight top lane too, and there's no ult pressure now. Look,
Right top lane.
the ulti does not come out because he is CC immune.
Guys, meanwhile, the Drake fight does not.
The Annie ult connecting onto
Off of
2
the Bears.
ends up killing Poppy and
That's a
Yasuo.
double kill.
A
Oh, 3
root
kills.
onto the Jinx. Annie gets a double kill there, and another one going to the Lux.
Oh, this is not looking good for the Bears.
That's an overall a 4 for O, and the Knights have gotten the Drake. It's like the.
Look at that situation. He also, the Mordekaiser misses so much on the top waves too, that Olaf was easily able to crash 2 waves there and force Olaf to miss him. And there's a crash under the mid wave too. He also was going to miss quite a bit of waves.
Yeah, there's over a 5,000 gold deficit at 8.5 minutes into the game, and it's only getting worse. Where's the Bears? Looks like Nelson might be trying to go for some kind of trade on the Annie.
The ulti onto the Annie.
Dive.
Looks like he does get that shutdown. And the wave seems to be frozen by his tower, so that was really good for the Yasuo there.
Yeah,
He does
that's
get
a-
benefits there, however, there is still down a lot of gold on these other lanes. There's the Olaf flashes there, looking to
Mordekaiser flash.
Mordekaiser flash. They do land the root onto the Caitlyn. Might be able to kill her. She flashes out of the root and just constantly auto attacks.
Unfortunately,
Not enough
Gillis is
damage output
up a
on
little
this
bit
side of
too much.
on the Jinx yet in order to kill the Caitlyn. Caitlyn is just so strong, and no root on the Nico. She might have been able to win that duel if Nico decided to stay. And there's the Lux, maybe looking for. Wow, that was a huge chunk of damage.
Ooh, very close.
Very
to
nice
killing
ulti
the
blocking that
clone.
Caitlyn ulti. And look, there's the Daisy onto the Yasuo and the root. That CC by the Ivern, stopping any playmaking on that Yasuo, both rooting him and then knocking him up with the Daisy.
So he also has lost his flash, so it'll be harder for him to make any flash plays into a dive. Trying to hold the wave, trying to pull it a little more towards his side of the lane.
And there's a root onto the Nico, but Lux does not have an ulti to follow up, so there's no kill potential there. And there's the ulti, does connect by the
Cannot stop
end.
Tibbers.
And cannot, that damage is way too high. These burst mages are really threatening for the team of Bears right now. The Annie and the Lux are both fed enough in order where they are able to easily burst down any of their carries.
Olaf just running Mordekaiser down across the entire lane and getting a kill from it.
Yeah, Mordekaiser has no way to avoid that. His ulti and his E do not work onto that Olaf and R. He cannot get away from him because he has no escape abilities. Oh,
that
the
was a
damage
lot of damage
chunk
on the
onto that Jinx. These AP burst mages are just so good at killing these squishy characters. This is going to be a really tough game to come back from for the
There's
Bears.
another plate bot too.
Walking up, pressuring the Nico out from trying to force the... Oh, and there's the ulti bite. Does not manage to dodge that Caitlyn R.
So it's like Ivern and Olaf are also on the Rift Herald.
Oh, that Jinx ulti is so close to getting the Lex, which would have been huge 300 gold shutdown for the Jinx.
Poppy's going
Try to
down.
come over and
Poppy
dumps it.
Poppy
And Poppy
able to-
manages to hit the R, but does get traded out. That is another 300 gold for the Caitlyn. Caitlyn is now 6-0 and already has Bloodthirster first item, looking to trade. Going for those dueling item that allows her to stay in the lane and duel, even maybe 1v2 against this Nico Jinx. Just being able to constantly heal without the anti-heal, and only anti-heal on the Mordekaiser in that Olaf matchup, so it's real no threat down there.
Yeah, and it looks like Lux is also building Ludens. So with the Caitlyn, dealing a ton of damage with her Qs and her R, and the Annie and Lux both building Ludens, it does not look like the Yasuo, Jinx, or Hink will be able to live for for too long in any
Yeah, even right now, that Mordekaiser is not good. He's pretty squishy against AP burst mages. He only has that Bramble Vest. He is also vulnerable to those bursts by the Annie and the Lux.
That's true.
Ooh, Aroma by the Lux, getting a root onto that, and the burst mage is just killing the Yasuo.
Looks like they go for a 2v1 on the top side, but
2v1 on the top side, this
Olaf
CC
just
immunity
simply too
cannot,
strong right now.
as long as he has that CC immunity, there is no kill potential onto him. He cannot be, he's just unstoppable. Constantly stacking Qs and getting those autos with heals off, he's just not easy to kill.
Looks like they're going to get this bot tower, but there's a nice hit.
The Ivern roam down to secure the spot tower.
And that is the first tower, so that's even more gold for this Caitlyn and Ivern. And now it is once again a 10,000 gold advantage. I think I said it right that time, not 1,000. It is 10,000 gold up for the Higley Nightmares. It looks like they're going to take another Drake, giving them even more stats. Let's see, it looks like the Nightmares are also looking flat on Yasuo here.
And there's a root by the Lux.
And it looks like Yasuo will fall off that.
Yeah, the chain CC by the Lux Ivern getting enough damage for the Caitlyn and the Lux to get their damage off and easily burst down that Yasuo. Rift Herald in the mid lane,
And it
going
does
to
the-
try and take advantage of the Yasuo being dead to secure the mid tower and maybe even more. There's the Poppy ulti to knock the Rift Herald back. I do believe it will still be able to hit though, so not too sure about that one.
And it does appear to be another Infernal Drake this week, especially dangerous the burst mages of Andy and Lux. So this would be important for the Bears to try to secure some drags so the Nightmares cannot be able to get that Infernal Soul.
And look at the vision here by the Knights, all over the bot side jungle. They have secure of the river, the bot side jungle, and in the top side jungle. This vision game here is going to make roams and responding to any type of play potential by the Bears really easy. And they do trade the Mordekaiser and the Olaf. However, Olaf does have a wave that looks like it's going to crash. So a bit better for the wave is a bit better for the Olaf there. However, if Mordekaiser got a shutdown there, that was definitely worth it.
So I asked last game, what do you guys think the Bears' win condition is? What do you think they're still trying to play around?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very tough game because they're not splitting as much as they were last game, and even if they do try and go for any of these picks at the side lanes, they will effectively be able to trade because the Olaf he's immune to CC, so you can't really catch him out. He will be able to trade easily. The burst on an Annie or a Lex in the side lane is really high, so might be able to get a kill off before you can kill him. So it'll be really tough to initialize onto these shutdowns and try and play off those. I think they have to rely on winning team fights with Nico Rs and hope that they can get enough damage out before the Knights are able to respond. This game is not looking good.
So it looks like the Bears are trying to defend this bot turret. The second tier tower does give, I think it's like 550 gold. That would make their gold deficit even worse for them, which they're naturally trying to avoid.
2 levels up on that Olaf. And he does have the Ravenous Hydra. He has a lot of damage and healing. Even with that Bramble Vest, I don't know if it's enough. You do have the Moonstone, and you have the IE finished on that Caitlyn. Not going for a Mythic quite yet. And the Jinx just disappeared to the Annie RQ.
Annie is incredibly strong into very squishy champion. She's a ton of burst damage. One of the most burst heavy characters in the game, actually. There's Nico trying to kill Tibbers. Trying to make sure that Annie can't get this tower here.
Yeah, this is looking real bad for the Bears.
Looks like Ward will get doped here.
Caitlyn warm up, takes the tower. He does get the Caitlyn in the round, but Caitlyn is so strong, especially with the IE Bloodthirster early. So much dueling potential there. Can really fight anybody on the team without a problem. Rooted.
So it's like all lanes are currently getting completely suppressed by the
Poppy will
Higley
try to
High
stop, but it looks like Olaf CC moves. It looks like the Poppy will fall to the Olaf here, and they will take top turret and mid
A
turret.
root onto the Yasuo does so much damage and chained with the Caitlyn W. Blocks that damage output by the Caitlyn with the wall. It's saving his life there. And they do not care that Mordekaiser is there, just taking the tower and now running him down. Mordekaiser ends up falling. There are 3 dead on the side of the Bears, and there's just nothing to stop this topside push. There's a wave crashing on that mid tower too. Caitlyn looks like she's gonna go try and pick that up, and they catch them in the bot side. Jinx is the only one able to back, and they dodge the Nico R and end up killing her. They just cannot force this Olaf out of the base. Olaf almost has ulti again, and he is just able to fight in there. No, they do not have enough damage output to kill him.
Looks like he might be able to kill the Poppy.
He is just absolutely on a rampage right now. He is unstoppable. Going from again, he is just running, and he's about to be literally unstoppable.
See, this is not looking good for the Bears. Looks like they're going to lose all of their
2 dead, down to down 2 in hits. Already pushing Nexus Stars at 18 minutes.
Almost 16k goal. We'll see if the...
There's the Yasuo engage onto the Caitlyn, attempting to get it. Ends up getting picked. There's just nothing that the Bears can do here. They have to hope that the Knights misplay really bad, because it's looking bad. And there's the unstoppable Olaf just running it down. It is... They're getting slaughtered under their Nexus Tower. There's just no way that the Bears can respond to this push.
To the bitter end. Mordekaiser off of Olaf.
does
Oh,
manage
he
to
is so
finally get
high.
Olaf into an
Olaf
arc.
is
And
still alive.
He
Mordekaiser
does get the pick.
Mordekaiser does get the
Oh,
shutdown. That's a
Mordekaiser.
huge shutdown.
Oh,
And he
And
shuts
he
down
falls
the
to,
Eddie.
and he
That's a
falls to
huge
2
play.
shutdowns on the
Maybe he'll be able to
Mordekaiser.
come back.
Maybe Yasuo will be able to deal with the Caitlyn, but Caitlyn is just so strong.
Taking the next.
Oh, Yasuo does manage to get on top of them. There's the damage, and she just shoots
So
one more time,
close.
and the game ends. That was really well played there by the side of the Knights. Winning that game 32-5. That was a rough game for the Bears.
And that will end our series 0-2. The Knights winning this series. That was a very good game. And
Very good game by the Knights there. The Bears did try their best, and they did put a valiant effort in, but it was just a rough game overall.
Mm-hmm. Either way, both sides played incredibly well.
Keep roll this. Click on this. Yeah, in this game, the Olaf just an overwhelming amount of damage onto the enemy team. So it was just not much that the Bears could do to try and come back from this game, especially when they are both they are both decently scaling comps, and just the snowball effect from the early kills on the Knights just allowed them to win that game easily. So
Very true. Any final thoughts?
a little bit of an unfortunate series for the Bears here. It looks like they weren't able to get a good start to these games, but I believe the Bears will be able to come back next game and do much better.
yeah,
Alrighty.
it was
See
really
you next time.
really well played by the Knights. Great effort by the Bears. And
I'm Tom,
I'm Charles.
I'm Josiah.
and we'll see you next time.